I closed that channel down, and I believed the vision for me was to start fresh, to start very fresh, to go very clear into what God was speaking to me, because the person who started that first YouTube channel is not the person speaking to you now. She has grown, she understands more, she's more mature, she's had to grow through certain areas of life. And so I I actually launched the podcast on the new channel with 0 subscribers. Welcome. Hello, I am Sybil Bull, your host for Faith Based Optimum Living, where we dive into transformative content on emotional wellness, purpose-driven living, and a meaningful life. Today is going to be a little bit personal as we are on vision. And I can't let the time go by without sharing a little bit, pulling you back into behind the scenes of some things for my life. And we're talking today about activated vision. When you wrote the vision, when you're doing certain things and now it's activated. And today's going to be a real personal. So I just wanted to bring you into story time with me, because I think it's important when you're sharing with people and you're talking about different things and you're teaching them topics and you're trying to help them to live this optimum life, that they understand that the steps that I'm sharing with you are the steps that I've had to take. I've been a full participator of what it looks like to have vision given by God, wrestle with that vision, submit to that vision, and having to steward that vision. So we're going to talk about what it looks like when the vision is leaving the notebook and no longer is it a dream that God has whispered to you, where it's no longer about something you're just praying about, but it actually becomes an assignment where you got to walk it out loud. You got to do it because I talked about this in another episode where I really talked about that for sure that this is what you're supposed to do. The thing about vision that I've been learning over time is that it's not something that we're just jumping up and choosing. It's a God-given sight, and it aligns with the purpose for what we're supposed to do. So I'm just going to talk about what it looks like in my life and bring you into the story of what it looks like to just have some vision activation and what I had to go through internally and also externally. The moment when God was showing me what it's supposed to be, and then it became real and it became visible and then it became public, right? But I also want to share what it looks like, the cost behind it, how it changed me. And I want to talk about how the exposure for the vision comes into your life and what it does to you as a person. Because here's the truth. No one really talks out loud about how vision doesn't just make you, it remakes you, right? Vision remakes you. You get the vision as one person. And then over time you evolve, and then you keep emerging into the person that God saw for that vision. It also breaks you open. When you start activating vision, it breaks you open in the best and most complicated ways. It really, really does. And it forces you to upgrade your own capacity, your own character, and your systems in life. And I definitely have had those experiences. After you're walking out your vision, it just feels like, okay, what else are you going to do to me through this vision? But I just want you to know that it's been a really great journey for me. I've had lots of tears, lots of, I don't know if I could do this, but I know that God gave it to me. So not too long ago, I want to say it might be a solid 10 years now. But my story started earlier, but the vision that God gave me was that He was calling me into a public space to be a speaker. And I didn't want to be that speaker. And so over time, He was saying, this is the vision. This is where I want you, like the spotlight of speaking. So my husband and I are in ministry. We've been in ministry for a while. So I want to say 37 years now. And when you're listening, it's 37 years. And so for me, being in a public space of speaking, sharing knowledge, anything to do with communication is a big part of the vision that God had given me for my life. And I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to be in the background, but something inside of me was saying like, hey, this is like a real part of your assignment, a real part of your journey. And I would notice that some of the things that I would get, the insight, the knowledge, the understanding, was to help other people unlock some areas of their lives. Sometimes it was an answer that they may have had a question to. And over time, I thought one day, like, hey, I really believe that I'm supposed to start a YouTube channel. So I've been speaking publicly on and off for years. And then I thought, oh, let me go ahead and start a YouTube channel. And that was a part of the vision. Now, what I didn't know is that starting the journey as a public speaker and a communicator and doing these things was going to actually expose me to a lot of areas of my life that was very uncomfortable. And when I started the YouTube channel, I was at first very excited because I believe that was a vision. Now, this was some years ago. This is not the podcast that we're having now, but some years ago, I started a blog that was called Just Appetizers, Small Principles for Life's Big Hunger. And I wrote a book for it, Just Appetizers, Principles for Life's Big Hunger. And you can always get my book. And then I decided that I was going to start the blog. I was going to start the YouTube channel. And when I started the YouTube channel, because I could just see it. I started the YouTube channel and I didn't know exactly how everything went. So I started looking and watching other podcasters, other YouTubers. And I said, well, maybe I'll do a vlog. Maybe I'll do this. So I started the channel, not with all of the understanding, not with all of the knowledge, SEOs, all these other things. I just knew it was a vision. So it actively started for me just having some topics. I had little bullet points because I was doing it in a Just Appetizers, like small principles kind of space. And I was really doing that. And I launched it, y'all. And I didn't know everything that I was doing. I didn't know a whole lot about light and all those kind of things. I had a good phone at that moment. And this was the beautiful part about the vision, when God gives you the vision and you start taking steps towards it. He brings people into your life who will be, again, vision partners, right? Those who will see the vision and run with it. You write it down, you talk about it, you share it. And I begin to do that in a public space. And what I was seeing that I didn't realize then that I know now is that I was extremely grateful to have a space that I could share with people that I may not meet, right? And so I had someone watching it from Australia or somebody watching it from Canada. So that was something that I realized, that in your vision, when you first start off, when the activation of your vision, you sometimes are not aware of the demographics or the people that you're going to reach. And when I thought about, let me, go ahead and do a YouTube channel years ago, I really wasn't as focused that I was going to even have anyone watching the channel international. I was more so like, I know I needed to share the information. I really wanted to get into a space where I could help those, even if it was just 10 people. But what I started realizing is this was more serious than I thought it was going to be. And it was a lot weightier. Having to be consistent, having to show up, having to figure out what I was going to share. Does it make sense? Learning how to communicate, how to speak, where you're just not rambling. I have so much respect for people who draft and create and do all these other things that I'm learning to do now. I just have so much respect for you. When you say you wrote a play, honey, I just was like, what? Did you say you wrote your whole thing out? You did all these channels. You've been producing stuff. I have so much respect because I'm learning that it takes a lot more work. The people are, liking the videos and they're giving comments, but the person behind that screen or the team behind the screen, it's a lot that was going on. And so for me, what I realized years ago, the channel was good. My children were supportive. Other people were supportive, and it was growing. And it stopped growing because this is a part of the activated vision. I didn't realize how demanding it was going to be. I was not ready for how demanding it was going to be. And I was still responsible for being a leader in the ministry. I was still responsible for a business that I had started. I was still responsible to my family, my children, my husband. And I did not realize that this vision was going to call for sacrifice that I wasn't even prepared to give. And that's really true when it comes to activated vision. I was changing, but I also had to sit down and say I wasn't stewarding the way I wanted to steward it. I wasn't doing the best that I needed to do. And some of the things that I've been sharing through this focus of vision are things that I've literally lived. So even during the time where I was doing the YouTube channel, there came a moment where the vision wasn't growing like I wanted it to grow. Things were not happening. And I had to take a pause. And when I sat down and I took the pause, it was so instrumental in where I am today doing the Optimum Living Podcast. It was so instrumental. I took this pause, y'all. And during the pause, I went back to look at this is not a hobby. I do believe this is vision, right? Having a YouTube channel is important. This is something that I believe God wanted me to do, and it aligned with other areas of my life. But I sat down on the pause, which meant that I had to see where I wasn't aligned. I had to go through the different thoughts in my head that I wasn't a failure. Because when I'm a high achiever. So I'm giving 100%. I'm going to give everything that I have. And when you're pausing and you're like, well, I don't think I did that right. Or I don't know. You go through all the different things that I shared about in the episode where you're like, it feels like the vision is stuck. And I was in a season where I had to pause. I had to deal with the resistance. I had to deal with the external, the internal. I had to take a moment to do that. And that had to be, I want to say now that I look back, it was such a pivotal moment. It was such a life-changing moment for me concerning this portion of the vision for my life. Because what happened is I realized that I was separating some things in my life. I wanted to come under one brand for Sybil Bull, and I was going to start another YouTube channel for something else, and I was doing the Just Appetizers channel. And so I was dividing a whole lot of things. And I'm talking about when you're activated in vision, this is what happens. You're thinking all this stuff, people are talking to you, you're thinking this is what you need to do. And it was not coming to pass. It wasn't sustainable. It was not what I believe God wanted for me. So I did the pause. I did the realignment. And one of the things that I did do during that vision time was I sat down and I reassessed the vision, what was working, what wasn't going to work, who I am now, because the person who started that first YouTube channel is not the person speaking to you now. She has grown. She understands more. She's more mature. She's had to grow through certain areas of life. And I closed that channel down. And I believed the vision for me was to start fresh, right? To start very fresh, to go very clear into what God was speaking to me. And the vision absolutely evolved. And I didn't think it was going to be. I thought it was dying. I thought it was over. And the vision evolved. That one day I sat down and I came back to, okay, I have my blog. I'm writing this book. And then I heard that the vision was to have a TV channel. So Sybil Bull TV. So I wrote that down. If I could I should have brought my notes in here. I had written this down some years ago. And I went back to revisit it, and I just started writing down what it looks like. And it didn't look like the first channel that I started, because again, the person who I am now, she's not the same person. The sacrificing that I would have to make. And then I said, okay, Sybil Bull TV is what it is, and it's going to house certain things. And one of the things that it was going to house is the podcast. And my daughter said that she was going to help me produce it. Shout out to Renee Toms now. And so she said she was going to help me to produce it. And I said, oh, okay. Again, God will send people into your space for what he wants you to do. I didn't have all the ideas. I didn't have all the answers, but I knew for sure this vision was in a pivot space. The pause was really important, and that it was for me to relaunch my channel, but it was going to start from zero. So I had no subscribers, and I had not, done a whole lot of things I think it was like a 2 or 3 year window. I hadn't done anything. So I closed mine and had to redo some things. And so I I didn't relaunch. I actually launched the podcast on the new channel with 0 subscribers. And during that time, the first wave of creating the Optimum Living Podcast, y'all, let me tell you something. We did the take over and over. I think one episode we had done, we're talking about vision. One of the episodes that we had done, my daughter, the producer, she looked at me, she's like, what was that? And I was so scared, y'all. I was like so nervous. And I just kept overthinking that we had to do it over. So literally had done like a 40 minute episode. We scrapped it. She's like, what was going on with you? And I said, I don't know. It was all over the place. And that was like the vision coming to pass, and me sitting in front of the camera and becoming comfortable with what needs to happen, and realizing that it was going to take a lot more work, but I also needed to be confident that this is the space that I'm supposed to be in, and that my voice is necessary for this space, and I'm not competing with anyone. I'm only here to do the assignment. I'm only here to make sure that I share the knowledge, the understanding, the insight, and give solutions and bring people on a journey that I've been taking for years, right? So that was like the launch, and launching it, I believe that when I got finished that first, I think 3 episodes, I just felt like so exhausted, but also I realized in that moment that I was a different person, and I needed to show up confidently, knowing that this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm in a space today where I'm not necessarily looking at, did the channel grow to this number? I know it will. But what happens when you activate and you take it from just, notes in a notebook, is that you start to grow. I start to think about, how do I communicate? Who do I want to reach? What do I really want to share? I'm a deep thinker, so I have to pull back sometimes when I am sharing to make sure that it's simple. I like simple steps. I like certain things. And that's what I wanted to create in an authentic space out of the vision that God had given me for the channel, and of course for the Optimum Living Podcast, which you are here with me now. And so we're in the 3rd season, something that had I not pivot and had not gone back and sat down and said, who is she now? What does she create? What does the vision look like? There would be no sitting here in season 3. I would have just thought that because there was a pause, because of all the things that was happening, that was just a season in my life and it's over. But now here we are, and we are sharing with you about what it looks like to go from an idea to impact, to be able to know that people are actually watching the podcast that I don't know. Someone may have shared, or maybe they stumbled on it. But nonetheless, to know that I believe in what I'm saying, I believe that I've lived it, and that there is value in what I'm sharing. And so that's the difference. Before I did a lot of second guessing if I was doing it right, and I had a lot of worth attached to the applause. And now I'm not attaching my worth to the applause. I'm attaching my worth to the fact that I know that this is a part of the vision and what I'm supposed to do. And I hope that is helping you. I hope that you're realizing that you can do what I've done, right? You can have activation, and you can also have a pause, and that you can come back and reactivate the vision and what you've been given. And here we are sitting on the podcast and sharing. For those who are listening, thank you for being here. And for those of you who are watching, thanks for showing up. This is not just about me doing a hobby. This is really something important to me that I know that I'm assigned to do. And I have so many ideas that's going to be on this TV channel, Sybil Bull TV, that I know that God wants me to share with you. Why? Because it's for sustainable growth and long term. And as we're going through just thinking about visionaries and people, I want you to think about this. There's a Harvard Business Review that states that 92% of people don't follow through on their goals. It's just important that whatever you've decided to do in the activation, follow through on it. And it says of the 8% who do, most underestimate the emotional toll of sustained vision work. I didn't know how much work was going to go into it. And I've started businesses, and I can talk about those, but we only have so much time here. So I'm going to talk about the most recent thing, which is this channel. But you don't even understand that 8%, it says they underestimate the emotional toll of sustained vision work. Most of us think that when we started, we're surprised. Like, it's emotional. Like, you have to invest emotionally. You have to work through things. You have to become self-aware. You have to deal with your own fears. You have to deal with your own stuff. You have to deal with voices. You have to deal with environments, whatever it is. There's a lot that you have to work through. And a lot of it is not people. It's your personal thing when no one else is there. You have to talk to yourself. You have to work through it. You have to say to yourself, girl, get up and do what is wrong with you, right? And so that's what's important. What vision have you had in your life that has moved from idea to impact, right? Is there something that's moved from idea to impact, and what did it demand from you? Have you even paid attention to it? Sometimes we're so busy talking about the vision that we forget the visionary, and the visionary is giving a lot for the vision. And even the people who are saying they really appreciate what you're sharing, they don't understand the demand, and it's not for them to understand it, right? We don't want to sit down and just be belly aching about stuff that people don't care about. They just want you to produce what you're supposed to produce and do what you're supposed to do. Vision is a birth, and this is something that I learned. Haven't been pregnant 8 times, but had 7 children. It's like a birth. You feel like you're carrying it, and it's growing, and it's demanding things from you that you don't even expect. And you have all of this ideas and stuff that you have to do. It has discomfort, and it's stretching. It's always stretching you you have the capacity, but you didn't know you had the capacity, and it will challenge your own infrastructure. Vision doesn't just test your excitement. It tests your systems, like your workflows, your processes, like how do you put things together? Literally, since I've been doing this podcast and creating things, I've had to revise my infrastructure. I've had to go back and say that I need to expand this. I need to work on this. And it's taking a lot of work. And I'm like, this is more work and literally, these are my words. This is more work than I thought it was going to be. And so when you're looking at your infrastructure, your calendar, your communication, your finances, your people, right? All of the things that get pressure tested when you're doing it, it will expose your limits. Are you addicted to control? Are you trying to control everything? Do you fear being seen? Are you dependent on applause? All of these things that will expose. You put up a post and okay, you got 20 people that liked it and no comments. Are you looking for applause? Are you really concerned about that? It will expose your limits. It will show if you've activated your vision with surface things or from what God wants you to do to grow. It will help you to recalibrate your own identity, because sometimes you don't really know who you believe you are until you have activated your vision. Sometimes when we're talking about it, we're writing it, we're like, it sounds good and it's so wonderful, but you don't even know who you are. So it will recalibrate your own identity. Once the vision is in motion, you can't shrink back. You can't say, oh, I don't want to do this, into the version of who you were that was only planning, because the planner is not the same person that shows up in the spotlight. You're being shaped as much as you are being assigned, right? So you're being shaped according to the assignment. It says that the most effective leaders are not those with vision statements, but those with vision stamina. Let me say that again. The most effective leaders are not those with vision statements, but those with vision stamina. The ability to stay aligned under pressure separates short-lived hype from the long-term impact. Whew. Vision doesn't ask who you're trying to impress. It asks who you're willing to become. Let me say that again. Vision, it doesn't ask who you're trying to impress. It asks who you're willing to become. Remember, we have the vision and the visionary. Let's talk about your shifting, moving from the dreamer to the steward as we're closing out. This is where vision moves from momentum to maturity. You have to build a rhythm, not a rush. You have to build a rhythm, not a rush. I'm building a rhythm and I'm not rushing. I'm taking my time intentionally to do what needs to be done. Visionaries burn out when they build around adrenaline. Everything that feels hype, rush, you're going to burn out. And so you don't want to do that. Build around a rhythm. Create rituals, margins, consistency that keep your why alive without depending on emotional highs. Any visionary would tell you that they have awakened on a day, they woke up and was like, I don't feel like it. I don't feel none of this, right? But if they were depending on the emotional highs, there's 365 days in a year. And honey, at least half of those, we probably don't feel no highs, but you're doing what you need to do. So you have to create consistency. You have to keep the why before you, because sometimes there's going to be a dip in the emotional high. Here's another thing from moving from dreamer to steward. You want to shift from hype to health. You want to shift from hype to health. Don't build your vision on applause, build it on sustainability. And y'all, I told you this. We talked about this in season 2. We talked about cultivating things for sustainable growth. Think sustainability. Think when you're building, think sustainability. Think, can this last, right? Not that it feels good. Oh my God, I'm so great. People are saying it's great, right? So build on sustainability. What does that look like? With boundaries, accountability, with honest feedback, restoration of rhythms, right? If you've lost your rhythm, come back and find it. And number 3, lead with clarity, not chaos. When you activate your vision, it requires executive level thinking and servant-hearted leadership. So you have to be an executive leader in that space, but you also have to have a servant heart because you're serving people, you're doing this. So you have to lead with clarity and not chaos. People don't like to follow people that are chaotic. So make sure that you're executive level thinking. And sometimes, again, that's a part of your development. No shade thrown. Sometimes that's a part of your development. Your team, your family, your clients, they're not just watching what you produce, they're learning how you carry purpose. They're learning how you carry purpose. Where people say you make it look so easy, that's because you are thinking in the level-headed space as an executive and you have a servant leadership heart, right? And that's what they're seeing. So it looks easy, but they don't understand that sometimes you're screaming on the inside and be like, oh my God, right? And that's okay. You're leading with clarity and not with chaos. Refine in motion. Activated vision is not final vision. This is not it. Like you can't just say you've done this for 10 years and this is it and you keep doing that. That's going to lead you into limited thinking. It's not sustainable and you're going to regret it. Activated vision is not the final thing. There's going to be something else. It's evolving. You're evolving. You're going to find something emerging out of the vision that you didn't even think about or know. And you're like, wow, now I've added this part or I've added that. And so that's what makes it beautiful. Here's something I want you to think about. Schedule quarterly reviews with your own self. Identify what's bearing fruit, like what's really growing, what's really multiplying, and what needs pruning. The simplicity of that really makes a difference for me. And I've been able to prune, get rid of things. I like to say in my quitting season, I stopped doing, stop participating, stop allowing. So momentum without direction is just movement. Momentum without direction is just movement. But momentum with stewardship, that's legacy. There's difference in it. And sometimes we're saying a whole lot of things about momentum, but we have to have direction in it. All right. So in our closing, I want to remind you, it's easy to dream. It's free to dream. It doesn't cost you anything to dream, right? But it's powerful to build. It's also transformational to sustain. A vision, when you're building it, you can sustain it, but it requires transformation, and you're the person that's being transformed. Activated vision reveals what you're made of. That's that place where you're like, oh, there's some resilience in me. Oh, I am a little warrior. I'm a little fighter. Okay, I see I'm not going to quit, right? Activated vision also confronts every shortcut. Sometimes we're trying to get there and not doing all the processes, not doing all the systems, not doing the things we're supposed to, trying to bypass certain things that you really do need, right? So it confronts it when you're doing activated vision. Every doubt, every place you want to hide, all those things, it comes to the forefront. When you're living from a place of activated vision, it actually confirms this is what you're supposed to build. This is what you're supposed to do. And if God gave it to you, I want to encourage you. He's equipping you through it, not for it, but through it. He's going to equip you through it because there's different seasons, as I've shared before, that you're going to go through. Don't quit in the middle. Don't resent the pressure, because, we try to find ways to get up from under the pressure. Don't resent it, and let the stretch shape you. I need to just say this again. Let the stretch shape you. I am a mom of 7 adult children, and one of my children weighed 10 pounds and 10 ounces. That is almost like a 3-month-old baby. Okay. I stretched as much as possible. Why? Because it was shaping me to carry the baby, the capacity that I didn't think I had. I realized it when I carried a 10 pound, 10 ounce baby. That's right. You can put that in the chat that, hey, you something else, lady. But nonetheless, I just want you to know that when you're stretching, it's going to be uncomfortable, but you don't know your capacity until you're being stretched. So here's your challenge for the week as we're wrapping up. Set aside 30 minutes, just 30 minutes. Doesn't have to be a lot, whatever day you decide, for a vision maintenance check. Just kind of like create a session for yourself. And here's what you'd want to talk about. What needs tightening? What needs more support? Where are you over functioning or under deleting? These are the things that you want to do in those 30 minutes. It's called a vision maintenance session. And then just reflect on the questions, answer them. And that's going to be important that you do. Now that the vision is active, who am I becoming? That's what you keep asking. Now that the vision is active, who am I becoming? Whew, I am so happy that I got to share with you. I'm so glad that you are still here. This has been a fabulous episode, and I hope that you received something from it. And if you're activated, shout out to you. If you've been activated and you've sustained, shout out to you. I understand what it takes. And for those who are coming along in your new vision, I'm celebrating you, and I'm saying you've got this and you can do it. Remember that something that you might be feeling, but you haven't said out loud, go talk to another visionary. Visionaries understand each other, right? You don't have to feel any kind of way because you feel like they've got it all together. If they're a real visionary, they've been through it too. So talk to them. And if you haven't already subscribed to the Optimum Living Podcast, I want you to subscribe. Go ahead and leave a review, share this out, and join the Optimum Living community. We're here for you. And don't forget to get this resource that we have for you. It's just a little simple leadership tool that's going to be on our website. The link is going to be right there that you can click on and you can download. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for joining me for Optimum Living. I'm Sybil Bull, and I help you grow, live fully, and unlock the life you were created to enjoy. As you move forward, keep your heart clear, your vision sharp, and your steps rooting in what truly matters. Stay grounded, stay grateful, and keep reaching for the life God has shown you. And remember that you are designed to live an optimum life. I'll see you next time.